Hello, kind people. This is Dmitry, and welcome from West London. I'm back on Heron's Rest. Heron's Rest being the name of this boat, which used to be my home for 2.5 years, I think, and I'm very happy to be back here. It's on River Thames. Maybe I can even show you. There's River Thames there, or that's the little island called Brentford, and the kind of the main branch of River Thames is behind that island. And you can see the houses of Brentford in the distance. So it's very nice to be back here. And I am going to carry on with my Listener Greatest Hits series. And today is the turn of the puzzle, which is one of my personal favorites of 2021. And I even recorded a video on that puzzle in Russian for a reason which will become clear later. Basically, it has some connection to my secondary school, and I was planning to send this video as a Happy New School Year video to the new school kids there. It's called Elusive Figures. It's by Poat, and it made top 5 of listener puzzles in 2021. I think it was number 2 in top 5, but I'm not 100% sure about it. I don't have a list here, so apologies if wrong. But I think it came second. The first one being Manhunt by Shark, which we're going to cover as well. Okay, so let me bring it on the screen. I think this is the puzzle. As you can see, it features a very unusual triangular, well, a rhombic grid made of triangulars, and it's called Elusive Figures, and let's read the preamble. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to live solve the puzzle now. I remember some of the clue answers. I probably will struggle with half of them, even though I have seen them before. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go through the preamble. I'm going to explain how some of the clues work and how it might be possible to start filling the grid like that. And then I'm going to show you the filled grid, and we'll do the end game together. And there will be a very curious postscriptum to this video, in that after this puzzle was published in The Listener in 2021, in 2022 I started to solve the Magpie, which is the magazine that I hope to have some videos recorded on later. And there were 2 puzzles in 2 successive editions of the Magpie that have connections to this one, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. That was a very nice follow-up to this puzzle. Okay, so let's read the preamble. It's quite a long preamble. Well, actually, not that long. Entries go in straight lines in any of 6 directions. 1 accent is required. So at the moment it's not clear why 1 accent is required, but it is clear what it means. So you have, say, 25 is a 9 shark pool swimming, make it snappy, 9 2 words. So you have a 9-letter word, and you start it from this cell, and it can go in any of these directions. Although, because it's a 9-letter word, you immediately realize that it's not possible for it to go here because you run out of letters. Same goes for this direction, same goes for this direction, same goes for that direction. So actually only 2 directions are possible for this particular word, here and there. And so this sort of stuff allows you to possibly fill the grid. So you once you say guess that word, you know for sure which letter goes here, and then for all the other letters you have 2 candidate cells. And then if, say, you realize that the 5th letter of this word does not agree with the first letter of 26, then it does not go that way, and hence it goes that way, and you can fill all those cells. So this is how you fill the grid. So let's have a look at some of the clues. Let's have a look at two, and obviously there are no crosses and downs here, they're just numbered by their starting points. So German-speaking provinces hosting finale of floral dance. So, and the reason I want to show you this one is that here we get this accent that was mentioned in the preamble. So German-speaking provinces are Länder, and when they are hosting, so providing space for the last letter of the word floral, and then you get Ländler, and believe it or not, Ländler is a type of dance. Okay, but I think we haven't finished reading the preamble yet, we actually just started. Clues whose numbers form the start of a thematic sequence each contain n consecutive extra items that must be removed before solving. The items, together with their associated punctuation, describe what must be successively erased from the grid, followed by definitions for n words of equal length. N, capital N, identical interlocked shapes remain, each with the letters of one of the defined words in its extreme cells, and must be shaded in different colors. N blank cells, so there will be blank cells in the grid somehow, must be filled with letters whose sum is 39, using alphanumeric equivalents A's 1, B's 2, etc., to reveal n thematic names in a complete sequence of cells touching only at corners. So clearly, all of this describes the endgame, so you're not going to bother with that until you have your grid filled. And the important thing is that some clues will have some extra items that must be removed before solving. And we can have a look at some of those clues. So, Rock Inferno on radio crashing in E flat. So when you see crashing, you think it probably is an anagram. And in E flat provides 7 letters. And Inferno on radio is hell. And believe it or not, so this also is pronounced like hell. And then if you anagram in E flat, you could get the word Haleflinta, which is a rock. And that means that this 3-like plane are 3 extra items. And as we will see when solving other clues, each clue with extra items has exactly 3 words, or in some cases it will be like, words and numbers, but 3 words in kind of programmer's sense. So here is another one. Elusive Figures, group of 10 black new guys scattered. Again, you think scattered is probably an anagram indicator. New guy is such a strange word that probably is there just for its letters. And then you have new guy, that's 6 letters, you have 10, that's 3 letters, and black is abbreviated to B, and so you get your 10 letters, and indeed you get intangible, which is elusive, and then figures group of is your extra 3 items. So you carry on doing this, and I think I just want to skip now to the filled grid and show you the end game. So once you do all of that, you arrive at, let me bring it on the screen, I think it's probably here. So the grid is going to look something like this. So as you can see here at 1, in this case it is sort of across. You could see this Halle Flinter, and going from 2 in, say, this direction, you get Landler. So this is Halle Flinter. As you can see, you have this A with accent, which tends to be important for the end game. So now, what is that message that we got? Let's get back to the preamble. So clues whose numbers form the start of a thematic sequence. Okay, so what is the thematic sequence? So you could see that clue number 1 had 3 extra items. Clue number 3 had some extra items. Clue number 6 had 64 east of were the extra items. Clue number 10 had extra items. And you might guess that these are triangular numbers. So we have a grid full of triangles. And so the thematic sequence is a triangular number. So triangular number is nth triangular number is the sum of the first n natural numbers. And so in this triangle there are 6 dots, and then you get the next one is 10, and so on. Okay, so so you have a sequence of triangular numbers, and what is the hidden message? The hidden message is 3 like plane figures, group of 64 east of 2 little points, tango in corner, group of 16 in center, and then comes 3 definitions: tool, grape, and veg. So tool, grape, and veg are going to be these definitions of some words that are required. But let's carry on with the instruction. So the sequence indicate what must be successively erased from the grid, and then followed by definitions for n words of equal length, n words, and here's 3 as well. Okay, so what do we have to remove? So first thing is 3 like plane. Okay, so it says we have to remove 3 line plane figures, and then there is a column that says which ones. Group of 64 east of 2 little points. So given that the theme seems to be triangles, oh, and then there is an E here which I somehow removed. So given that the theme is triangles, it's highly suggestive that what we need to remove is 3 triangles, and they're all of the same shape. Well, you could only make triangles with 60-degree angles in this grid. And first you will remove 64 east of 2 little points. And if you count the number of cells in kind of this area, you see that there are 64 of them. And so this is all we need to remove. So let's erase them. So that's the first step in our end game. Then it says what we need to remove is, so the message tells us after tango in corner. So tango is in cryptics, it's in the phonetic alphabet for letter T. So tango in corner is this little t, and this is one small triangle. And then next one we need to remove is group of 16 in center. So now we remove those 64, we have a group of 16 in the center, which is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So these are things we need to remove now. So we remove those. and now we end up with the now we somehow have to create n identical interlocked shapes, each with the letters of one of the defined words in its extreme cells, and they have to be shaded in different colors. So what was there? There was tool, grape, and veg. So let me try to remember what they are. So here is one. An old plow is an ard. And as you can see, these three, so how does this work? I think it's these three ones provide an ard. Then another one is okay, as usual, I knew that I would be struggling with something. That took some time when I was doing it first. I believe it's correct. So how does this work? Okay, yeah, I think it is... Oh yeah, okay, so there is... Oh no, it's not art, it's actually Hoe, which is one of them. Then it is Yuva, which is another one of them. And then there is Ers, which is the third of them. And you can look them all in a dictionary to check that this is correct. So let's now try and color these shapes. So this becomes one shape, which is this Yuva. Let me check the colors that I want to use for this. Okay, so I want to use red for this one, I think. So let's color this red. This is one shape. Okay, and you'll see why there are three interlocked shapes. You might already recognize this. So now for the next one I want to use blue, and that would be the airs thing. Okay, and then for the third one we can leave it white, but I guess if we want to, if we have to color it, oh, I forgot to include that S, that little S is part of the blue shape. Let's fix that in a second. So this is another one. Okay, so this is part of the same. Oh, and this is part of the red one, I guess. Oh no, we erased Endgame corner. Sorry, of course not. No, okay. And what you end up with is something called a Penrose triangle. So an impossible figure, which is one of those illusions which are very closely associated with Maurice Escher. And now the only thing that we actually have to do is to fill those blank cells that are still out here. So this one, and this one. And the way we have to do it is such that three thematic names will appear when you read, what does the preamble say? In a complete sequence of cells touching only at corners. And if we add T here, you can see that the name Reuterswärd appears, and this accent becomes important once again. And then if we put P here, Penrose appears, and here if we put C, we get Escher. So Reuterswärd is an artist who I think is the first one to draw this image, and then Penrose is the one whose name it bears, and Escher is the one in whose drawings such figures, including this one, I think, are extensively featured. So this is the complete solution. So this is the grid that you had to submit, and maybe I want you to show why I recorded a video on it in Russian some time ago. This is the website of my secondary school, and this is the logo of it. And as you can see, we use Penrose Triangle. I tried to cover it in the same colors as our logo, so for any for the alumni of this school, this is this figure means something. I think okay, so it's 20 minutes. I don't want to make it longer than half an hour, but I have time to talk about what happened in the Magpie in 2022. So this was the puzzle that appeared in the Listener, I believe in August 2021, and a year later, when I was solving the Magpie, this puzzle appeared in the Magpie by a setter called Seprent, who I know because he used to be the professor in the university I was doing my PhD in, and I had no idea he was a crossword compiler at the time, but I saw him on campus many times, and then after I left Royal Holloway, I read on its website one day something like Professor Jason Crampton retires but continues to ask difficult questions, something like that was the headline. And it turns out that, yeah, Jason is now concentrating full-time on his career as a crossword compiler, to the great joy of all of us. And this is one of his puzzles. So let me bring it on the screen. Oh, gosh, I need to do this. Right. It doesn't have a name, and here is the preamble. The grid whose shape must be deduced has 6 edges and contains 21 overlapping hexagons, each formed from 6 triangles. Answers to all clues are 6 letters long. Each hexagon contains one of the answers, which may be entered clockwise or anti-clockwise and start at any point in the hexagon. Clues are listed in the usual order, that is, reading hexagons across then down. 3 hexagons contain 3 unchecked letters. Clues for these hexagons comprise a definition and a non-overlapping substring containing an anagram of the answer. Each of the other clues contains an extra letter that must be removed before solving. These letters spell out the theme. Solvers must represent the theme in the completed grid using 3 colors of their choice. Grid lines are not required, but solvers may add some to enhance the representations. Solvers must enter the puzzle's title on the submission sheet using unchecked letters from the long sides of the grid, thereby resolving an ambiguity in the grid fill. So as you can see, the grid looks very similar. The mechanics are completely different, so you have way less clues, so the actual grid is a subgrid within this somehow. And so each individual clue is confined to a hexagon, and you somehow have to, so let's say The first one is gelded, and you need to somehow select where to start it and the orientation. So this could be one possible way of filling it. And so very different mechanics, but let me show you what the submission grid looks like. But the submission grid looks like this, and the title is the Penrose Triangle. So it's exactly the same idea, and clearly no one plagiarizes in the world of cryptics, especially in the world of thematic cryptics. And what happened was Seprent independently came up with this idea, and then obviously he saw the published puzzle in the Listener, and Seprent is also on the editorial team of the Magpie, so they decided that they need to have spaced this puzzle sufficiently apart, but they decided to publish it anyway, which I think is an absolutely fair thing to do. In maths, publishing a new proof to the same theorem is a absolutely fine thing to do, and I guess this is a fair game as well. However, what Seprent then did, which I don't know what the reasoning was. Maybe the reasoning was that I can't just publish the puzzle on the same theme. I have to one-up it somehow. So what Seprent did was this. So when we solved this puzzle, in the next edition of the Magpie, we got a puzzle which looked like this. So we got the grid which looked exactly the same. There was a missing title in exactly the same way. And then the preamble was very, very similar. The grid whose shape must be deduced has 6 edges and contains 28 overlapping hexagons, whose shape each formed from 6 triangles. Answer to all clues are 6 letters long, so almost exactly the same. 3 hexagons contain 3 unchecked letters. So it's almost the same preamble. And this is amazing. But what that ended up being, and let me show you in the submission grid here, is a different interlocked shapes, not the Penrose triangle. So there are 3 triangles that, like 3 rings that pairwise are not interlocked, but combined together they form an interlocked shape. So this is the configuration with triangles instead of rings, and it's called Valknut. And so I think it's an absolutely beautiful idea to create these twin puzzles with almost identical preambles, which lead to these 2 constructions. So I thought this was a very nice story, kind of spanning 2 different publications, the Listener and the Magpie, and 3 puzzles. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope I will be back with more greatest hits of both the Listener and the Magpie. Thank you. Bye.